We all have clear motives for killing our bosses, so this is not gonna work. This is garbage.
Why don't you kill each other's bosses?
That's actually a good idea.
It's not bad.
Yeah. Yeah, like Hitchcock's Strangers on a Train, right?
I didn't see that. They do that
The
now?
Danny DeVito movie. It's a funny one.
Yeah,
What?
that famous Alfred Hitchcock Danny DeVito movie.
a good
That's the one. Come on.
Hey everyone, Christy, Alonso, and Gray gave Horrible Bosses an average rating of 7.2 on the What the Flick panel, which is a pretty solid recommendation. But if I were there, I would have dragged that rating down, since I'd give Horrible Bosses no more than a 4.0, and I'll tell you why. First, you know the story. Jason Bateman, Charlie Day, and Jason Sudeikis play Nick, Dale, and Kurt, three friends who decide they're going to murder each other's bosses. That's a decent premise since we've all had terrible bosses in our lives, and with anger over CEO pay and unemployment running high, a little revenge fantasy against the bosses of the world sounds like a potentially good time. But the problem is that Nick, Dale, and Kurt are so goddamn stupid in how they go about trying to commit these murders that it robs you of the vicarious thrill. Now, it'd be one thing if you'd established that these guys were total idiots, or were so young and naive that they never realized how difficult pulling off three perfect murders would be. But Horrible Bosses doesn't do that. The fact that all three characters excel at their well-paying jobs would actually imply the opposite. Nick has a white-collar job and has risen high enough that he could potentially become a VP. Kurt is an account manager poised to someday take over the chemical company where he works. And Dale is a dental assistant, which may not be rocket surgery, but it ain't digging ditches. But when you see the lack of thought they put into planning and trying to commit these murders, it's shocking that they've survived into adulthood this long without strangling themselves long ago while putting on a sweater. Seriously, their first attempts involve looking for a hitman on Craigslist, then going into a crowded bar and asking loudly if anyone is a killer for hire, then basically leaving most of the strategizing to a stranger they know they can't trust, played by Jamie Foxx. And when they try to execute their plot, whether it's surveilling their victims or actually attempting the murders, most of the planning for these crimes that could put them in jail forever seems to happen during the car ride over. So for me, all I could do was be annoyed at these guys' stupidity. Especially when two of the bosses, Jennifer Aniston's sexual predator dentist and Colin Farrell's cokehead whoremonger, are so cartoonishly bad that any idiot would realize they could record a few minutes of their abuse, then file a lawsuit that would not only get their bosses removed, but would get the guys millions in damages so they could quit their jobs and never have bosses again. There are a few laughs, but they mostly come from riffing, improving, crosstalk, and asides, not well-written, well-executed jokes or truly funny situations. The three main characters are poorly developed, and as the critics on the panel noted, all the female characters are terrible. Some might say Horrible Bosses is the type of movie where you should just turn off your brain and embrace the silliness. But you know what? A good movie doesn't require brain removal. Horrible Bosses references the Danny DeVito, Billy Crystal movie Throw Mama from the Train, which is hilarious and I think is one of the most underrated comedies of the 80s. It's a movie with original, fully developed characters who understand the consequences of what they're doing and treat it with the appropriate gravity. If you want to see a great riff on Strangers on a Train, see Throw Mama from the Train, and not Horrible Bosses. It looks like the actors had a good time making this movie, but I had a dismal time watching it. I'm Jonathan Kim for What the Flick, and be sure to check out my new Netflix-based show ReThink Reviews on the TYT network. It's up there now.